Welcome back to another exciting video of Top Movies Recap. Today, I am going to explain a second part of 2016 South Korean erotic psychological thriller film called The Handmaiden. It is inspired by the 2002 novel Fingersmith by Welsh writer Sarah Waters, with the setting changed from Victorian era Britain to Korea under Japanese colonial rule, as we know that the film's story is laid down to us from three perspectives. The second one will depict us that Izumi and Fujiwara are in on it and plan to trick Suk-hee and send her to the asylum, but eventually Izumi and Suk-hee get on the same side and join hands. This video is an explanation to help understand the second perspective of the film. So let's dive into the story, but before we start, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel to get some interesting stuff in upcoming videos. In the second part, we now learn about the backstory of Lady Heiko. As a little girl, she has to put metal balls in her mouth, reminiscent of Benoit balls, while she is hit repeatedly by her handmaiden for talking back. She is then brought into her room where she's told there is an ogre who lives outside her room who will burst in and smother her if she ever cries out. The aunt also shares the photo of Heiko's mother that we had seen her show to Suk-hee. Heiko's aunt instructs her in Japanese by reading books which end up being graphic and teaching her words like penis and vagina. Her uncle comes by and grabs both of their faces, suffocating them before letting them go. We now see the young Heiko slapping a servant for saying bad things about her in Korean, which she can speak. Her uncle tells her that she has a touch of lunacy that she got from her mother, and he will try to teach her so she doesn't get sent to a mental hospital. The training consists of her being taught to read from his book collection, which is now revealed to be very explicitly sexual books. The young Heiko reads from a graphic story, and her uncle yells at her lack of articulation. We then see the adult Lady Heiko at the readings for collectors, reading from sexually explicit passages. She flashes back to the day of her aunt's hanging and the servants staring up at her. Meanwhile, the readings continue for the Japanese book collectors, and the stories are more and more graphic. She also performs demonstrations of the material for the audience. She chokes herself. She is whipped. She sits on a wooden puppet and is lifted to the ceiling. The books are auctioned off. One has lost its value because the sexually explicit illustration has been ripped out. Nobody wants to buy the book, figuring that the illustration was necessary to depict what words alone could not. The man who pretends to be Count Fujiwara is involved in these readings, hired for forgeries. He tells Heiko's uncle how all the women on the estate are attracted to him except for one Heiko. He heard that her uncle is engaged to her and suggests to him to go easy on her training or she'll be dead inside. Count Fujiwara and Lady Heiko talk over dinner. He tries to tell her he loves her, but she knows he's lying. He admits to being the son of a Korean farmhand, and he spent 3 years learning to paint forgeries so he would have access to her and possess her father's inheritance. But he realized how smart she was after he met her, and has another deal to suggest he'll rescue her from her uncle. They'll split the money. She says she doesn't want to marry anyone. He realizes she plans to kill herself, but he says all her money would go to a perverted uncle. She points out that he will find them if they eloped and take her to the basement where he tortures people. He has brought her there as a young girl and showed her what he did to her aunt. Count Fujiwara gives her highly concentrated opium and says if she's ever caught, 3 drops will make her sleep, 5 drops will knock her out, and all of it will kill her. They plan to find a handmaiden for her who they will send to a madhouse under Heiko's name. They get rid of her old one after she is caught having sex with the Count. We now see Suk-hee's arrival from Heiko's perspective. When Suk-hee tries to peek in her room, she bangs against the wall, scaring her. She watches Suk-hee undress for bed. Then she screams to get Suk-hee to come, claiming she had a nightmare. Heiko reads a letter from Count Fujiwara telling her to show Suk-hee her clothes at every opportunity, since that is part of what she will receive for helping him out, if she wasn't being duped. He points out she won't be able to read the letter she's reading because she's illiterate, hence her asking Suk-hee to read the recommendation out loud. She knew she couldn't read it. Heiko also goes outside and scolds her servants for stealing Suk-hee's shoe, saying if she runs away, she'll throw them out. In the next flashback, we see Suk-hee bathing Heiko and fixing her tooth, but now we see this was followed by Heiko inviting Suk-hee to join her in the tub. When Suk-hee presents the earrings to Heiko, Count Fujiwara wrote her a letter warning her that Suk-hee would pretend they were fake because she wants them, but they're actually Heiko's own earrings. He tells her, to keep her from getting suspicious, they should occupy Suk-hee with the task of trying to convince Heiko to marry him, and that she shouldn't fall in love with him too easily. As before, Heiko gives Suk-hee the earrings and admires her when she is dressed up. Also, as before, Suk-hee is very kind towards Heiko when she discusses losing her mother in childbirth, leading Heiko to feel a companionship towards Suk-hee. Count Fujiwara and Heiko really don't like each other and both only tolerate the other to go along with their plan. Suk-hee now mopes around angry, watching a flirtatious exchange between Heiko and the Count. Now we hear them openly discussing their dislike for each other. Suk-hee becomes jealous, which Haiko notices. As before, when she is away running errands, Suk-hee rushes back to find a clothed Haiko mounting Count Fujiwara on the grounds. Now we see that they staged that pose just to convince her they were falling in love. We see Haiko giving the readings of sexual literature to the Japanese men. She reads about Benoit balls. The men applaud. Next, we see the scene again where Haiko and Suk-hee have sex under the pretext of educating Haiko on how to please a man. But now the lesbian sex scene is extended and more graphic, showing both women taking turns orally pleasuring each other, cunnilingus, as well as fingering as well as grinding. Suk-hee tells Haiko that she is a natural with performing the sex. A day or two later, Count Fujiwara yells at Lady Haiko, telling her she scares Suk-hee. She'll close up like a clam. The lady feels bad about arranging to have Suk-hee locked up in a madhouse, but he tells her that Suk-hee said Lady Haiko was so dense she wouldn't know someone wanted sex even if they pulled on her nipples. While it is true Suk-hee said this early on, it was when she was not fully invested in Lady Haiko's companionship and trying hard to go along with the plan despite her developed attachment. However, it is enough to upset Lady Haiko, who is now convinced Suk-hee doesn't really have feelings for her. In her room, Haiko asks Suk-hee if she still thinks she should marry the Count, even if she, the lady, ends up having feelings for someone else. When Suk-hee says yes, Haiko slaps her and shoves her out of her room. Then she grabs the rope that Suk-hee found in the hat box earlier and goes to hang herself from the same tree her aunt had, saying she wishes she'd never been born. We're meant to believe this is why she allows Suk-hee to be sent to a madhouse despite falling in love with her. But when hanging from the tree, before she can fall, Suk-hee appears, holding Haiko by the legs. She immediately confesses to everything, how she was trying to trick her into marrying the Count and they were going to send her to the madhouse. Haiko asks Suk-hee, "Are you worried about me?" And Suk-hee asks how she knows her name since she's pretended to be a handmaiden named Tamako. Haiko confesses her plan to send Suk-hee to the madhouse. Now Suk-hee writes home and tells the woman who raised her to be a thief there is a change of plans and they need her help with a forgery. Haiko's uncle drives away to visit his gold mines. He warns Lady Haiko about the basement, meaning if she ever betrays him, he will punish her with torture like he has done to family members before. With him gone, Suk-hee is finally able to explore the library. She sees the uncle's collection is all perversely sexual literature. Offended that Haiko had been forced to read it, she tears pages and illustrations out of all the books and then dumps them in the indoor ponds underneath the floorboards. The two women are finally free, preparing for Haiko to elope, and we see them running through the fields, laughing. Cut to Suk-hee being put in the madhouse. Instead of sadness, Haiko is seemingly unaffected and says she's hungry. To be continued. We hope you enjoyed our today's video. If you did like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest and interesting videos.